always searching for the promised land.
Such a beautiful sound, as was the fiddle and the banjo. That was just powerful. It has always been a powerful combo. And your banjo is a replica, you said, of an old fretless banjo from the mid-19th century.
Yeah, 1858. Mm-hmm.
1858. Mm-hmm. And because we don't have recordings of the music from 1858, but how do you find is there a way through either sheet music or other ways of connecting with songs that would have been part of that repertoire from that time period?
Well, there's a couple of different things. You know, the banjo itself tells you a lot. You know, and there's also some sheet music from 1855, the earliest banjo tutors that we have, and that music tells you a lot too. It's the first generation of music that's being transmitted from black players to white players. Yeah. So there's a lot to be gained from looking into that.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you ever have an epiphany where you're looking at some transcriptions, or you're figuring it out, and you're thinking, oh, I see how that happened, or what the pulse was, or the rhythm, or the...
Oh, definitely,
yeah.
definitely. You know, but the coolest thing was I went to Africa first, and I learned some of the acontang, which is like an ancestor to the banjo, and then I went to this, and it all made sense suddenly.
Oh, okay.
You know, went from there. You know, went from regular banjo to Africa, then back to here, and I went, oh, you know, that was a cool journey.
Oh, that's cool. I can see how that would work. I should just mention that this is Dirk Powell and Rhiannon Giddens, and you've collaborated on a record, Freedom Highway, recorded in Dirk's studios, and Dirk was talking about how you wanted to get down into this part of the world to capture some of the feeling and the vibe of some of the stories that these songs contained. Did you succeed? Did you feel that vibe? Did you get it? Did you feel like you got stuff that you couldn't have gotten elsewhere?
Yes. Yeah, I mean... yes.
I think, it sounds like it could be a cliche, but the music really is in the air here. It's very different. Every time I get off a plane, I feel it. I feel the energy. There's so much here, and I think I feel it in every musician that comes through here. They play a little bit differently. There's a little bit of a deeper groove and soul kind of coming out of this area, and I feel like it's a special place for that reason. People that record here do so because... there's the word spice, or there's the various phrases like that, but it goes a bit deeper than that. What was that? Joie de vivre? Yeah, joie de vivre, that's it.
Is it also a little bit about the pace, do you think? Just the fact that things can move at their own pace in a natural way?
If your air conditioning ever went out, then yeah, you'll remember that. You'll know in a hurry how things got the way they are around here when your AC goes out. Everything slows way down.
Rhiannon, let me ask you a little bit. You grew up in North Carolina. When you went to music school, or you went to Oberlin, if somebody had asked you to sort of describe yourself as a musician, what would you include in that description? Because you kind of grew up listening to bluegrass and old-time music, but you were not so much?
I mean, I heard bluegrass was kind of like the wallpaper of my life. You know what I mean? It kind of was there, but I never really accessed it, or what I don't know what the word is anyway, except for when I'd see my uncle play, because he's in a bluegrass band. Yeah. So I wasn't into any of that really in an active way when I was growing up. So I mean, I was just a singer. That's what I thought of myself, as a singer.
Yeah. And you studied voice when you went to college.
I did, yeah, classical voice.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that even though you think bluegrass was just the wallpaper in your life, recently you gave the keynote address at the International Bluegrass Music Association. So they must have thought it was more than wallpaper.
Well, I didn't say it stayed wallpaper. I'm just saying I didn't play it when I was a kid. It was just sort of there.
Yeah.
It was always there, but it has obviously wandered more into my life since then.
Yeah. Well, I will say, as a guy who was there at the IBMA sort of gathering in Raleigh, North Carolina, your speech made a real impact on a lot of people, because it talked about the banjo and this sort of evolution. And I don't want to paraphrase it in any way, but it did what I think needed to be done, which is creating that connection around the antecedents, the roots, the fabric, the sort of depths of that music and trying to reconnect the dots a little bit?
Well, I mean, it's the same as here. You know, the music is a cross-cultural creation. You know, and we've forgotten that. In all the regions that it has been like that. I mean, people on the ground know, but the common perception of it has been completely warped. And I think some of the reasons we're having some problems that we have now is that we've forgotten how much of a commonality we have as people. You know, you live in the South, you're Southerner. Doesn't matter what color you are. So I think it's good to be reminded of that, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's very few instruments, you know, maybe the banjo and the fiddle are the two that kind of sneak into different, you know, pockets of musical culture and can act as those ambassadors about as well as any. Dirk, I know you are a busy guy, and you've been, I think the last time I saw you were playing with Joan Baez, maybe, and that was a gig you had for a long time. Movies, soundtracks, and working on films and other things like that, is that something you're still involved with?
Yeah, I'm doing a few different things, and as we head into the fall and the winter, kind of head into a time of more focus in the studio, and the road kind of gets a little less busy, and have that more kind of introspective time to create in a different way, which I really value. Yeah. And we'll be working on some projects here over the winter, and a lot of good stuff ahead. Well,
the project you just worked on, Rhiannon's record called Freedom Highway, is great. It's a really good record. It's just come out, and thanks to Pop Staples for the title. Thanks to Pop Staples for a lot of stuff. Yes. And is there anything else that's coming up that you want to talk about? I know you're always busy. I know you've been involved with doing some some Broadway, sort of more theatrical music and other things like that? Is it still part of your life, or?
You know, I'm heading into sort of a creative moment, I think. You know, we've got some stuff cooking, and I just think there's, you know, as a performer, I love performing. You know, we've been on the road all year, and I think that's an important part of it, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and there's a lot of stories to be highlighted, and I definitely feel, you know, I'm headed towards that. I just got the call to go back to the Nashville show for season 6, so we'll see if that happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right.
I have no control over that, but that's been really fun. But I have to say, like, I'm feeling my mission here on Earth is highlighting these stories and figuring out more ways of doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're so good at it. Listen, we're going to get back to music. Would you welcome back, if you would, Dirk Powell and Rhiannon Giddens? Hi, this is Nick Forster from eTown. If you want to stay up to date with all the performances, interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage, click the subscribe button. Thanks.